Good evening. We are Group 1 and we will be talking about the physiology of aging. My name is Alexandria and I will be going over the aging of the nervous system. Ruzana will be going over the aging of the skeletal system. Sanam will be going over the aging of the immune system. Mary will be going over the urinary system. And finally, Malik will be going over the endocrine system. The nervous system is so vast, even when broken down to central and autonomic systems. So tonight I will be talking about portions of the autonomic nervous system, which include a quick review of the parasympathetic and sympathetic division, how an aging hypothalamus affects homeostasis, and the visceral organs it controls, specifically the cardiovascular system. For a quick review, the autonomic nervous system consists of the parasympathetic division, which helps keep the body regulated, keeps it in a relaxed state, performs maintenance, and conserves energy. Sympathetic division, best known for the fight or flight system, also helps regulate emotion. Both work in symbiosis to achieve homeostasis. An article in the Frontiers of Endocrinology describes aging as the accumulation of genetic, cellular, and molecular damages. When the hypothalamus ages, it has an adverse effect on the system it commands control of, which includes a loss of muscle tone and density, immune responses, as well as cognitive functions, and keeps the body from achieving homeostasis. One of the main components of the autonomic nervous system is the control of visceral organs, which includes the cardiovascular system. And an article published in PubMed describes how the aging process causes alterations in the autonomic nervous system that interferes with the cardiovascular system. These alterations affect the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, which causes higher rates in cardiovascular disease. The physiological changes of aging causes impairment of cardiovascular vagal neurons, which have an adverse effect on heart rate by causing small increases in the cardiac index and systolic blood pressure. An aging autonomic nervous system can also lead to reduced blood flow to the brain and heart variability. This graph shows the molecular changes an aged heart goes through. Evidence suggests that an aging heart goes through fibrotic remodeling, which can lead to defective scar formation and cause myocardial infarction. Next, we will watch a brief clip of the effect aging has in cardiac cells and what that can lead to.
Pulses throughout the heart decrease in number and become more irregular. This may lead to increased myocardial irritability and an increased likelihood of the development of arrhythmias. Here is an example of what an arrhythmia may look like on an EKG. The top tracing is normal, whereas the bottom is an arrhythmia termed atrial fibrillation.
Thank you.
Throughout the heart.
Juana on the aging of the skeletal system.
Aging of skeletal system. The skeleton consists of bones, joints, cartilage, and ligaments. Bone is a connective tissue which is composed of high specialized cells, protein fibers, and extracellular matrix. Main functions: structural support, mineral storage, calcium and phosphate, blood cell production, red blood cells and white blood cells forms within red marrow. Bones contain about 99% of the calcium in our body. The human body contains 206 bones. Aging of skeleton. Reducing of bone mass starts at about the age of 30 to 40 years. Women lose about 8% of their skeletal mass every 10 years. Men lose about 3% of their skeletal mass every 10 years. Results of skeletal aging include having fragile limbs, reducing height, and losing teeth. Bone cells. Osteocyte cells that maintain mineral concentration of matrix. Osteoblasts, cells that form bone. Osteogenic cells, cells that differentiate and develop into osteoblasts. Osteoclast cells that resorb bone. Bone remodeling. It is the replacement of old tissue by new bone tissue. This mainly occurs in the adult skeleton to maintain bone mass. The structure of bones become weaker mainly due to the decreased osteoblast activity. Hormones such as parathyroid hormone, growth hormone, and calcitonin are required for proper bone growth and maintenance. Bone remodeling cycle. Activation. Pre-osteoclasts are stimulated and differentiate into mature active osteoclasts. Resorption. Osteoclasts digest mineral matrix, old bone, and release calcium and other ions. They clear out worn out of pieces of the skeleton and promote the deposition of newer, better material. Reversal. End of resorption. Formation. Osteoblasts synthesize new bone matrix, and lastly, mineralization. Osteoblasts become resting bone-lying cells on the newly formed bone surface. Osteoporosis is a bone disease when bones become fragile due to the decreased bone mass and thus become porous and more likely to fracture. We reach peak bone density in our early 20s and it decreases as we age. In women, the increase in incidence after menopause has been linked to the decreased estrogen production. Men have heavier skeletal and produce testosterone throughout their life, so they are less likely to develop osteoporosis. Recommendations to slow osteoporosis are supplemental estrogen, vitamins D, C, and A, calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium, exercising to stimulate osteoblast activity. Thank you.
Next is Sanam.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sanam, and I'm going to be talking about the aging of the immune system. So as an introduction, some topics I'm going to touch on are how the immune system consists of cells, tissues, and organs that help the body by attacking bacteria that can cause infections to us. And as we age, our immune system develops against antigens. However, it begins to also decline as we hit older ages. T cells and macrophages, which are white blood cells, begin to weaken and cause older people to fall sick way more easily. And I'm going to discuss the immune deficiency and immune dysregulation theory. So the immune deficiency theory is a theory that says within increasing age, the immune system is no longer able to defend the body from foreign invaders. And the immune dysregulation theory changes in the immune system that disrupt the regulation between multiple components of the immune process, progressive destruction of the body cells. Next slide, please. And so more effects aging has on the immune system are, so we have this definition called immunosenescence, which is the natural deterioration of the immune system as we age. So it's a known fact that as we get older, our bodies become more fragile, it's easier to get sick, and so some factors that cause this within the body are B lymphocytes, which are our white blood cells that produce the antibodies. Their ability to respond to new antigens decreases. Therefore, our antibody levels decline, which means the body may not be able to fight off infections as well as it used to. There is also a decrease in production of immunoglobulin, and T cells are no longer being produced quickly. So we see that we have fewer white blood cells, so fewer white blood cells means we can't respond to antigens as well as we used to, when we're a little younger and more immune. So when older people encounter a new antigen, their body is less able to remember and fight against it. And within aging comes that older people have smaller amounts of complement proteins, and so they don't produce as many of proteins as younger people do. So they have a hard time fighting against the bacterial infections. Next slide, please. So more factors that impact response of the immune system are lack of having proper nutrients or immunizations, stress, which causes stimulation, and hormonal changes, which suppress the immune system of older adults. We can also see that mental illness, depression can also hinder having a healthy immune system, and various chronic illnesses like CNS, they affect the immune system, endocrine system. They're all interrelated. And so, when one of your bodily systems starts to deteriorate, it starts affecting, the immune system. And so this is just also can be a reminder to take care of yourself, take care of your body, have self-care, try your best to stay healthy. And even though our immune system, deteriorates within time, you should try to exercise and get as many nutrients as you can to preserve your body. So
thank you. And next will be Mary.
Hi, urinary system and aging. As people age, there is a slow, steady decline in the weight of the kidneys. After about age 30 to 40, about two-thirds of people, even those who do not have kidney disease, undergo the gradual decline in the rate at which their kidneys filter blood. As people age, the arteries supplying the kidneys narrow. Because the narrowed arteries may no longer supply enough blood for normal-sized kidneys, kidney size may decrease. Also, the wall of the small arteries that flow into the glomeruli thicken, which decreases at the function of the remaining glomeruli. Accompanying this losses is decline in the ability of the nephrons to excrete waste products and many drugs, and inability to concentrate or dilute urine and to excrete acid. Next slide, please. Despite age-related changes, however, sufficient kidney function is preserved to meet the need of the bodies. But kidneys may need to work at nearly their full capacity to carry out all the normal kidney functions. Thus, even minor damage to one or both of the kidneys may result in a loss of the kidney's function. Next, please. Age-related changes in ureters. The ureters do not change much with age, but the bladder and the urethra do undergo some changes. The maximum value of the urine the bladder can hold decreases, and person's ability to delay urination after first sensing a need to urinate also declines. The rate of urine flow out of the bladder and into the urethra slows. The amount of urine that remains in the bladder after urination is completed increases. As a result, people may have to urinate more frequently and have a higher risk of urinary tract infection. Next, please. Age-related change is urethra. In women, the urethra shortens and its lining becomes thinner, that increasing the risk of urinary incontinence. These changes in a woman's urethra trigger a declining level of estrogen during menopause. Next, please. Age-related change in the prostate gland. In men, the prostate gland tends to enlarge with aging, gradually blocking the flow of urine. If untreated, blockage may become nearly completed or complete, causing urinary retention and possibly kidney damage. Next. Age-related dysfunctions of urinary system. Urinary incontinence in the involuntary passing of urine through the urethra. Between 30 and 50% of elderly people suffer from urinary incontinence, which caused by weakening of the urethral sphincters and the muscles of the pelvic floor. Next, please. Nocturia. Nocturia is defined as excessive urination at night. While having to urinate multiple times in the night is not serious in itself, it can contribute to insomnia. Between 60 and 80% of people over the age of 65 experience nocturia. The final one, please. Benign hyperplasia. Benign hyperplasia is defined as the enlargement of the prostate gland. The prostate gland is the organ of the male reproductive system. When it enlarged, the prostate gland put pressure on the urethra. Over time, the increased pressure on the urethra makes it difficult for the bladder to be fully evacuated. In several cases, urine can back into the ureters and interfere with kidney functioning. Thank you. Next will be Malik. Mm.